The Valdrin Empire had ruled the outer reaches for 3,000 years. Their warships were monuments to power, their soldiers bred for conquest, their emperors considered themselves gods among the stars. They had crushed 100 rebellions and absorbed 1,000 worlds into their eternal domain. Marcus Chen was supposed to be just another statistic in their expansion. He sat now in the captain's chair of the Ghost Protocol, a ship that bore no registry, flew no flags, and existed in no database across known space. His eyes, cold as the void outside, watched the holographic display showing the Valdrin fleet assembling near the Kepler belt. 12 dreadnoughts, 40 cruisers, countless support vessels. It was the largest fleet they'd deployed in a century. It wouldn't be enough. "Sir, they're hailing us," his AI companion Aria announced. Her voice carried a hint of amusement. She'd learned sarcasm from him over the years. "Let them talk," Marcus said, leaning back. His fingers drummed against the armrest, a human habit that unnerved every alien species he'd encountered. Humans, they'd learned, were most dangerous when they appeared relaxed. The hologram shifted, revealing Admiral Thexnor, his 6 eyes blazing with barely contained fury. The Valdrin were an impressive species, 8 feet tall, scales that could deflect small arms fire, and a natural lifespan of 4 centuries. They were apex predators on their homeworld, and they'd brought that mentality to the stars. Human. Thexnor spat the word like a curse. "You have violated 17 imperial edicts, destroyed 4 colonial outposts, freed 16 slave worlds. The Emperor has decreed your death." Marcus smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Your Emperor should have thought about that before he glassed Earth Colony 7. That was a legitimate military action against farmers," Marcus interrupted, his voice dropping to something deadly. "Against children. Against my wife and daughter." He stood, walking closer to the hologram. "You killed 3 million humans that day, Admiral. Do you know what you created?" Thexnor's scales rippled, a sign of unease among his kind. "One vengeful human? We have faced worse." "No," Marcus said quietly. "You created a human with nothing left to lose. There's a difference." The transmission cut off. Marcus knew what would come next. The Valdrin were predictable in their arrogance. They would send their fighters first, expecting to overwhelm him with numbers. Then the cruisers would close in, followed by the dreadnoughts for the killing blow. They thought like an empire. Marcus thought like a human. "Aria, initiate Protocol Omega." "With pleasure, Marcus." The Ghost Protocol had been built over 15 years, piece by piece, technology by technology. Marcus had traded with the Zanari for their cloaking systems, stolen quantum drives from the Arxian Collective, and reverse-engineered weapons from a dozen species. But the ship's true power came from something uniquely human: adaptability. Every species in the galaxy specialized. The Valdrin excelled at brute force, the Zanari at stealth, the Arxians at computing power. Humans, dismissed as a minor species before the Valdrin genocide, had one advantage no other race possessed. They could do everything adequately and innovate desperately. The fighter swarm arrived first, 300 craft moving in perfect formation. Beautiful, precise, predictable. Marcus had mined the approach vector 3 days ago. The humans called them surprise packages. The Valdrin would call them devastation. 60 fighters vanished in the first wave of explosions. The formation broke, chaos replacing order. The Ghost Protocol decloaked behind them, its hybrid weapon systems, combining Zanari plasma with human railgun technology, tearing through hulls with surgical precision. 200 fighters became 100. Then 50, then none. "Cruisers incoming," Aria reported. "They're adapting. Scanning for mines." "Good," Marcus said. "Let them think they're learning." The cruisers advanced in a defensive sphere formation, point defense systems online, shields at maximum. It was the correct tactical response. It was also exactly what Marcus wanted. The Ghost Protocol didn't engage. Instead, it broadcast a simple message across all Valdrin frequencies, coordinates and a timestamp. "What are you doing, human?" Admiral Thexnor's voice crackled through, confusion evident. "Keeping a promise," Marcus replied. 3 years ago, I contacted every species you've ever enslaved, every world you've ever conquered, every rebellion you've ever crushed. I told them I was coming for you. I told them when you fell, they'd be free. You're one ship, one human. I'm not alone anymore, Admiral. The sensor display lit up like a supernova. 50 ships, 100, 500. They emerged from quantum jumps from behind asteroids from the shadows of moons. Liberated species. Former slaves. Survivors of Valdran brutality. An entire coalition united by one human's impossible crusade. Marcus had spent 15 years not just hunting the Valdran, but building something greater. He'd proven that empires could bleed. That tyranny could be resisted. That one person with nothing to lose could inspire thousands with everything to gain. The Valdran fleet so imposing minutes ago now looked small, vulnerable, human. "Last chance, Admiral," Marcus said. "Withdraw from every enslaved world. Dismantle your empire. Face justice for your crimes." "Never! The Valdran Empire will never—" The first dreadnought exploded, cut apart by focused fire from a dozen different vessels. Then another. The Valdran fleet tried to fight, but they were designed to conquer the weak, not battle the united. Within an hour, it was over. Admiral Thexnor's escape pod was tractored into the Ghost Protocol's brig. He stared at Marcus through the energy field, disbelief written across his alien features. "How?" he whispered. "How did one human do this?" Marcus thought of Sarah, his wife, who'd taught him that love was worth fighting for. He thought of Emma, his daughter, who'd shown him that hope was worth preserving. He thought of Earth Colony 7, burning under Valdran bombardment. "You took everything from me," Marcus said quietly. "So I learned to take everything from you. The difference is I gave it back to those who deserved it." He turned to leave, then paused. "Your empire lasted 3,000 years, Admiral. It took one human 15 years to end it. Remember that. Remember that humans don't just fight for territory or resources. We fight for each other, and when you murder our families," his eyes were cold stars in the dim light, "we fight forever." The Ghost Protocol jumped to quantum speed, leaving behind a fleet of liberated worlds and the broken remnants of an empire. Marcus Chen settled into his captain's chair, pulled up the hologram of his family one more time and allowed himself a moment of peace. His war was over. But somewhere in the galaxy another empire would rise, another species would need hope. Another human might lose everything. And when they did, they'd find a message waiting in the darkest corners of space, passed along by freed slaves and liberated worlds. One human ended the Valdran Empire. Imagine what all of us could do.